This is a queen ant of the red fire ants. Over the next few days, she will devote all her strength to building a vast ant empire, but a colony of wild Monomorium ants is secretly watching her every move. If she is discovered, they will launch a sudden attack, destroying her nest, stealing everything, and turning her dream into ashes. At this moment, every hope rests upon this small, resilient creature. In the first days, the queen used her survival instincts and fierce will to dig a tiny burrow underground. If we could look beneath the soil, we would see the first eggs quietly. New lives are growing silently in the darkness, while the ground above is anything but peaceful. Right on my window ledge, a swarm of Monomorium ants is frantically searching for new territory like greedy raiders, always lurking in silence. For the red fire ant queen, that is a threat that could strike at any moment. Her arduous journey has only just begun, knowing that the safety of the nest means survival itself. The queen never leaves her shelter, pouring all her energy into producing the first generation of worker ants. The moment these loyal warriors hatch, they immediately get to work hurriedly building walls and sealing every entrance. Perhaps they can already sense the danger lurking outside. In this brutal battle for survival, the red fire ants must build a powerful army if they want to endure. And to raise an army, food is essential. The workers begin to scatter across the ground. Whenever they find food, they join forces to drag it home, grind it up, and turn it into bundles of white fungusa. Perfect source of nutrition for the growing larvae. Time passes quietly. Before I know it, 140 days have gone by. Thanks to this abundant food supply, the red fire ant population explodes. The nest becomes crowded and full of life. However, the newly hatched soldiers are still weak and sluggish, needing more energy. At this time, honey, a rich source of nourishment, is the perfect choice. A jar of honey sits silently not far from the nest, unnoticed by the ants. Until one day, a Monomorium scout discovers the treasure. Instantly, hordes of wild ants arrive, and the balance is broken. The first conflict between the red fire ants and the wild ants erupts. Compared to the bloody wars that will come later, this can't yet be called a true battle. But for the red fire ants, the losses are already devastating. I watched the entire skirmish unfold and spent hours cleaning up the scattered corpses of fallen ants. Even then, many bodies remained unburied. What touched me deeply was that ants are among the rare creatures that honor their dead. The surviving red fire ants quietly gathered the bodies of their fallen comrades, building a small mound, a grave of sorts. That act was so tender and ceremonial amid a world as harsh as nature itself. Thus ended their first battle. Afterward, the red fire ant kingdom was weaker than ever. Yet honey remained Vidalan, irreplaceable food that sustained the entire colony. After the painful lesson of the first conflict, the red fire ants were far more cautious this time. They slowly approached the honey dish and began to feast. If you look closely, you can see their delicate movements, as if each ant is cherishing every precious drop. Even more surprising, they displayed intelligence beyond imagination. The workers used soil and debris to cover the remaining honey, layering it carefully as if trying to hide this treasure from greedy eyes. Days went by, and by the 600th day, the red fire ant kingdom had grown into a fortress. But the moment to test its defenses was fast approaching. One day, 100 tiny forest flies quick, annoying, and as persistent as my wife's daily nagging, suddenly swarmed into the red ants' territory. They scattered everywhere. Immediately, the red fire ants detected the intruders, raised the alarm, and launched a count. Most of the flies were captured, though a few managed to escape. But their escape led them straight from the tigress mouth into the wolfest, and they flew right into Monomorium territory. By now, the wild ant colony had expanded rapidly. From my window ledge, I could see their forces spreading even into my pet room. My pets were clearly not pleased with these uninvited guests, constantly irritated and uneasy. Meanwhile, the growth of the red fire ants was not as smooth as I had expected. It wasn't until the second year that the colony had been observing finally became a truly powerful empire. But just then, the massive Monomorium army launched a full-scale invasion, storming deep into the nest. The red fire ants reacted instantly, fighting back with fierce determination. Yet the enemy's goal wasn't just to conquer the nest. The queen was quickly moved to the deepest chamber, hiding from the chaos of invasion. many ants were forced to sacrifice themselves. The surviving soldiers formed a living wall around their queen, shielding her with their bodies. One brave soldier volunteered to stay at the entrance, holding off the attackers to buy precious time for his comrades. The enemy soon turned toward the larvae, fragile young one falling beneath the ferocious onslaught. The entire red fire ant colony was on the brink of annihilation. At that moment, I was taken back to the very beginning, when the queen first left her mother's nest to build a kingdom of her own, full of hope and ambition. Was it all about to crumble? To save their queen, not a single ant fled. Every one of them turned back, rallying to where the queen was hiding. Their unyielding resolve truly moved me. Even my pets seemed to sense the intensity of the battle and unexpectedly joined in the defense of the red fire ants. By the next day, the Monomorium invaders were finally driven out. The fierce battle had lasted an entire day and night. The red fire ants had triumphed. From that day on, the wild ants never returned. Much later, I found out the truth. My husband had cleaned them out himself. Even though they are tiny creatures beneath our feet, ants possess a spirit of courage, perseverance, and a burning will to survive. The Queen's 1,000-day journey is a testament to sacrifice, unity, and extraordinary intelligence within a miniature world. They have no language, no modern weapons yet. They protect their own, bury their dead, and give their lives for the dream of their colony. Perhaps, sometimes, the animal world teaches us the deepest lessons about love, responsibility, and bravery.